Hey guys, I just wanted to update you with my Necro build. This is part 2 of the build and I have reached World Tier 4 at level 60. Well, I reached at level 62, but I'm 63 now. I farmed some gear in World Tier 4. It is a bit difficult, but I figured if I push myself through it, I'll get better gear, better XP. So, you might as well just do it. But it is a bit more engaging playstyle. It keeps you on your toes, so if you're looking to take it easy, stick to tier 3 until you are like around 68, I would say, and then come to tier 4. Now, as for the gear, I've this is what I'm working with now. I'm using this helmet. It's pretty much you just want stats, you want armor, you want life, you want max essence. Anything really is fine for your helm slot. CDR is fine. I just found this which had decent stats all around, so I just slapped it on, and the imprint I'm using is the armor imprint. Now, the armor imprint only procs on your abilities. It does not proc on minion damage. So the uptime is very low, honestly, and sometimes it gets to like 20 stacks, but I didn't really have any other imprint to put on the helm slot at this moment, and I'm playing solos, and I'm not got any previous gear or anything like that, so I just figured, you know what, I'm just gonna slap this on. At least it's gonna help me sometime situationally. Now for my chest slot, I'm using the +2 warrior imprint on this, mandatory. You get a ton of these uniques by the time you reach this level, so it's not going to be a problem. As for the stats, again, you just want armor. Armor is like the most broken stat in Diablo 4, so you always want armor in every slot that it can roll on. Other than that, I took life. I found something with bone skill damage. Ideally, you don't want strength, you want intelligence, and bone skill damage helps your bone spear. So I'm like, I found something workable, so I'm just using it until I find something better. For your gloves, I found this pair of gloves. It gives me +2 to bone spear, but because I have upgraded it, it's become +3. Other than that, you just want intelligence, stats, crit chance, and I have put this imprint on it, which is really nice. As long as your minions stay active, it does like it rolls up to 30%, but I got 28% more damage. Now for my legs, it's the same pair of legs from my previous video. I found this very early and I stuck with this. It's pretty much just scaling my corpse explosion. It gives me some damage reduction, some minion life, and I have imprinted just extra damage reduction when I have a lot of minions. The boots are still the same as well. It's just pretty much you want essence cost reduction, you want movement speed, and ideally you want intelligence, um, maybe some other stats, but realistically, like as long as you have essence cost reduction, intelligence, and movement speed, it's good to go. And I have used this imprint. The imprint is pretty mid-tier, but mid-tier in terms of roll, that is. It's a good imprint, but it's just the roll is not that good. But it procs a lot, and it does nice CC for your minions. And you also need to understand that because we're using skeletal mages cold, every time they're doing cold damage, they are also giving you back a lot of essence, so it synergizes well with that. For my amulet, it's still the same. I put the +2 mages on it, and because it's on an amulet, it amplifies it to +3. You pretty much want minion attack speed. You want movement speed, because I do feel like movement speed really helps with a slow, like Necros don't have any mobility skills, so it just helps. Anything else other than that is fine. CDR is good. Anything is fine other than that. Armor is nice. For ring, I went with crit chance. I got max life and some max essence. Damage to close enemies, but I think vulnerable damage is better than damage to close enemies, and I put this imprint on it, which is pretty much it buffs my ultimate ability, and when I use my ultimate ability, it makes them more tanky, and it gives them a bit more, like attack speed, which is not a bit more, like double their attack speed practically, which is really nice as a DPS cooldown. The other ring I have is still the same ring. It pretty much just gives my it enhances my golem, and it pretty much gives me crit chance, life, vulnerable damage. Like this ring is better itemized than my previous ring, but the other one was a decent roll, and that's what I found for now. So I'm just using it. As for my weapon, you practically want a high DPS weapon as your minions scale with the DPS of your weapon, and the stats aren't that important. I found their crit chance is low, so the crit damage really doesn't matter much. It does affect your bone spear, so it's a nice stat. Once again, like ideally you want vulnerable damage instead of close damage. Stats are always nice as you also scale with it and your minions scale with it. As for the imprint, it's an attack speed buff, which is really nice for DPS. So this is the highest DPS weapon I've found. Technically, two-handed skits are stronger for a minion as they're a slower weapon. So the top end damage is higher. So it is slightly better, but it's better. This is just something I found with high DPS, and it's a sword, so I'm using it. Now, as for my abilities, it's still pretty much the same. I primarily use Bone Spear with my essence. I use Corpse Explosion as I'm generating a lot of corpses, and it provides me with essence back due to Grim Harvest, so I have more uptime on Bone Spear. And I do not use Decompose. I just pretty much spam Corpse Explosion and Bone Spear to develop and to dump essence. Now, I've taken Decryptify. I'm still trying to figure out how to fit it in because it's easy to fit in, but the problem with Necros is that you have too many buttons to press. And originally I played this build thinking it's going to be something like PoE where I just walk around and let them do this, but I'm not kidding. Summoners in Diablo 4 are super engaging, and it's actually pretty fun. It's actually way more engaging than even my barb. You are constantly on your toes. You're constantly doing things. Like even your summon skeletons, at max skeletons, if you press it again, they do more. They get a heal also, and they also do more damage. And the uptime is only 6 seconds, or well, 5 seconds. So you practically have to use that to keep their damage rolling. You have to use your bone spear to dump your essence, as it does really good, and it applies vulnerable, so it does good damage. And you want to also keep using corpse explosion to generate your essence back and a little bit of damage. On top of that, you have a golem attack with golem iron, which pretty much stuns people. So due to all this, I don't know really where to fit it. I'm still trying to figure out how to fit it. Now, I tried putting it in my left click slot, and I don't use Decompose, but the problem with it is that it it triggers more while I'm moving, and it makes it very clunky. And yeah, that's not good for the build, and that's not fun to play for me, so I have not put it in that slot. What I am considering is to put it in my golem slot, and then switching my golem from iron um, to the first one, which is right here. It pretty much just, it's like a auto thing, so I don't really have to manage the golem that way, and that way I can use it to apply my curse. Other than that, in my skill tree, it's pretty much the same. I'm not really changed much other than that. I know some people have gone Bone Storm. I've tried it out, and it makes sense, and I have played with it too, I won't lie. And I have tried a Bone Storm setup where I take Bone Storm and I take Rapid Ossification, and basically what I do is every time I'm using Bone Spear and I'm generating back with Corpse Explosion, it keeps reducing the cooldown. So the next idea I have is, if I feel, is to use Bone Storm, slap on some Bone Storm aspects, and have a lot of CDR, because your helm can roll CDR, your amulet can roll CDR, and there's an aspect that increases your Bone Spear uptime, sorry, your Bone Storm uptime, and you can have that pretty close to high uptime, and like 80% uptime, maybe even higher. And I was thinking maybe I'm going to switch to a Bone Storm setup and remove my curse, so I get points to put into Rapid Ossification, because you're using Bone Spear a lot, and you're generating due to a lot of corpses with Corpse Explosion essence a lot, it does reduce the cooldown quite drastically. So I have that in my mind right now. I'm just trying to figure out how to go about it. I'm going to try this setup today, and maybe if it doesn't scale well into tier 4, I might switch to that setup. But right now, despite being 10 levels lower than the mobs in this area, I'm still doing good. Now, as for my Paragon tree, um, it's a pretty standard tree. You go up the first tree, pick up the rare nodes. Out here, I primarily chose this tree for Cult Leader, and after Cult Leader, I worked my way up for the rare nodes, and I've socketed Dead Razor in this socket. It's a really nice glyph for any minion build. So I've activated its bonus. I'm trying to level it up further, and yeah, I'm working my way to my second tree at this point. So as you can see, I am going to show you some gameplay footage, but this is my Necro at this point, and it does pretty well. Considering what I've heard from a lot of people that summoners are not good, I'm having a lot of fun, and I feel like it holds up decently. Now let's see how it goes further. I might have to change and move away if my minions keep dying or something, like they are not doing enough damage, but let's see. Now I'll show you some gameplay footage. As you can see, the mobs are level 73. I'm level 64 now. Pop your ultimate there. That was an event. That was one of the easier events. It does get sketchy sometimes when you have like fire mods and stuff like that, because your minions are very low level compared to it, so they take extra damage and they don't have their resistances up yet, so it does get a bit sketchy, but it is possible to do it. It's just a bit harder. Keep in mind, as we level up, this is going to get like significantly easier.
My bags are full.
I don't have my ultimate up here. Use my golem to stun him. Cast some Bone Spear. Corpse Explosions. And he's dead. Because there's a lot of elemental damage, my minions are dying a lot. I have to resummon them. It's doable, but it does get a bit sketchy. I just wanted to show you another clip what a sketchy encounter looks like, but totally doable. Okay, so that's the build update. Thanks for watching, guys. Please like and subscribe. I will post another update soon. Thank you.